Hey, last program, we talked about dirty fighting techniques. That podcast, there's actually, I believe, four of them, and we did not cover all of the dirty fighting techniques. But if you work on the 21 that were there, it's a big project. And God will always point out things you could have said better, did better, your reaction with your body, how fast you went through the roof on something. One of the things that happens is when you catch yourself in a poor behavior, you can't just go, there I am again having this poor behavior. You have to ask yourself, peel the onion and be like, whoa, let me just disengage for a little bit because I'm seeing I'm getting out of control or whatever you need to do in that moment. But then when you take a walk, then when you spend some time with him, be like, what was that? Why did I like just go through the roof regarding anger? Like, where did that come from? And your own subconscious will start giving you answers. It'll start going through the files in your brain and be like, well, that kind of reminds me of this. And remember the time you felt like this. And then you'll see the base not to justify. You're not going to come out of that and be like, I'm justifying why I felt that way. It's like, oh, that's my pain that needs to be healed. Oh, now I can identify that. Now I know what we're dealing with. I'm just not just a super angry person. I'm a person who's been hurt. And I have to recognize that hurt. That's part of self regulation, is to be able to go, I see the hurt. I see the why of my hurt. And then I see the weakness that came out of the why. Because the weakness can be just short tempered. You just like fire off, or it can be that you don't deal with anything, or you're a stuffer, or some of the things that we've already talked about. It's hard. It's real hard. So, but you don't want to skip that step. You don't want to go, there I am again. I blew up and embarrassed myself and yada, yada, and just go through the condemnation thing, which will just make you more mad about yourself and you'll hate on yourself. Rather than there's got to be a reason why I do that. People don't just grow up doing certain things for no apparent reason. There's always a reason. So I want to tell you a little bit about how the brain works. And I have a chart that we'll be putting online. It kind of looks like this. Um, and it says what we do. The way the brain processes, you need to understand the first you see something, you experience something, your brain starts going, well, what are we doing? You know, what is this we're doing? What is really going on here? Why is an officer approaching my car? What are we doing? It's trying to search for that information. It's trying to put things into categories or whatever. This happens in megaseconds, but then it will, watch the next thing it'll watch when you're learning is not what we do, but it'll go to another level of brain recording and saying, so this is how we do what we do. Huh, that's interesting. I guess this is how we do what we do. And it'll start registering it more as truth. So you got to make sure you have truth because it's going to measure it this way as you learn. And then the core thing is when you grow spiritually, you will in the end know why we do what we do. Not just what we do or how we do it. It's like, oh, this is why we do it. So sometimes as we're growing up, we get this. We get a lot of yelling. We get the outside circle. And our learning ends there because we're so traumatized. It's like, this is what we do in this family. We don't do this and we do that, and we're like, okay, all right. So you're registering it. You don't know why we do what we do. We just don't want dad to be mad. We just don't want mom to be mad. We don't want the teacher to be mad or whatever. So we just do what we do because they told us what we should do. And then that next level, how we do what we do, is needed before you can figure out why we do what we do. There needs to be enough information coming your way so you're like, oh, that's how we do it. Okay, I didn't know when you just gave me a command and said, do this or don't do this, and I went to do that. I actually didn't know how we do what we do. I was just trying to listen to you. I was trying to pull off whatever it is you wanted me to pull off, but nobody showed me how. Maturity will always show you what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. It's so important. When you're in the age of directives, which is under the age of 10, what's interesting about that is you're missing a chemical in the brain. And under the age of 10 is called the age of directives. So that's the age, basically, you are in the what we do. We take out the garbage on Fridays. Okay, you know, and somebody's got to show you how to do it. But if they don't really give you the why, how then will you care about the garbage at all? Because there's a cause and an effect. And so much of our society right now doesn't understand cause and effect. We'll just go, this is what we're doing. And then we'll go do something. And you're like, oh, I don't know why that didn't turn out right. And this had a really negative effect. The building burned down. Well, okay, if we're doing this, how are we doing it? And why are we doing it? What is the real heart of what's going on? If you don't understand why you're talking the way you are, or your processor doesn't have that, you can end up very narcissistic because you'll stay on that outer level of the circle that just says it's what we do. So you're going to listen to me and you're somehow going to figure it out. And I'm the boss here. And there's not a lot of love. And I will tell you, when you grow in God, God will tell you what to do. This is what's going to be best for you guys. Do this. But he also will let you know how to do it. And then when you know that, this is why we did that. Every time we do the thing that's right, more revelation comes of why. Thank the Lord we took out the garbage. After all these years, I realized that this thing piles up all over the place. Maggots can come out of the garbage, flies, you know, disease, all of that kind of stuff. But when you're a little kid and someone tells you to take out the garbage, you're just removing something and putting it where they told you. Maturity would say, okay, this is the best way we can do it. Like, I know you know how to do it, but let me show you even a more efficient way to do this. And this is why we do it. We're trying to protect the household. We're trying to keep things clean. We're trying to, be orderly in this and get the garbage out when it needs to be. This needs to be there on a Friday or whatever the day is your garbage comes. If we don't do it, then everything's going to be behind. This is why we have to get it out on a certain date at a certain time. All of a sudden, it's a picture, but your picture matured and expanded. So when we're dealing with anger resolution, some people, I've literally taught people in classes that their brain is stuck on what we do. Okay, so I'm supposed to say this to my wife. Okay, I can try saying that. Well, do you know how to go about that? Do you even know why you're going to do that? Because the why is the part that's going to open everything up. But if we miss this learning memo under the age of 7, it's really difficult then to have an ability to communicate when we're older, because we're going back to the just tell me what to do. I'll go do that. Do you know why you're doing it? People who go to just get a paycheck at their job. Well, they said they'd pay me 18 bucks an hour, 20 bucks an hour. I'm just going to go there because, they told me what to do and I'm just going to do that. And my whole why is the money. No, it goes far deeper than that. But if you leave it at just, I need money to eat, you know, uh, I want to do stuff with money, and that's it, you're not going to be a very good employee at whatever company you're at. If you work at Walmart, you work at a construction thing or whatever, if you can see why we do what we do and how we do that keeps growing, when the how keeps growing, the why keeps being filled in, all of a sudden you're a really good employee because you actually care about people. You actually care about the effect this is going to have on yourself and others. You actually care that if you build a building, it's going to stand because people are actually going to live there or work there. And you care about that because of the why. You don't necessarily care if you just come in there for money and this is what you do. This is what I want you to do. Go do that. And you're like, all right, I'll do that. And also, wisdom settles on what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. Knowledge is one thing. Understanding's another thing. Wisdom's the biggest thing. And it's very difficult to uh, see why we do things if we don't know the how we do things. Um, those two combined really is you have knowledge, then you have understanding, and understanding and wisdom will just combine together. And all of a sudden, you'll see the big picture like, this is really important. This is why I clean the church. It's really important that this thing gets clean. There's visitors coming. I don't want anything to be offensive. I want people to have a good experience when they come to church. I want to care about them in this way. Otherwise, you're just washing toilets. And man, and then you'll start complaining about the job and you don't get paid enough and you're doing all this stuff and somebody else could be better fit to do it. I'm actually smarter than this. And I mean, you'll start getting really fleshly when you just concentrate on what we do. So what we do goes to how we do it, and then it goes to why we do it. So you're raising children, for instance, and believe me, this has to do with anger resolution and pretty much every other aspect of spiritual growth and emotional growth and measurements of moving ahead in life. Um, you know, if we look at this as we come into, like, say, church, and we just go ahead in Sunday school and we learn all the things, this is what we do. Okay, this is what we do. We take communion, we get water baptized, we do this is what we do. So I'm I don't know. They just tell me what to do, and so that's when I got in the baptismal because that's what they said to do. The mind is not expanding and growing, and you're not growing to a capacity that you can take this thing in. Like it's like I see it. I see why it's so important. My heart is moved by it. If you're just in the what we do, that's actually a form of religion. There are a lot of churches out there, a lot of religions that it's like, this is what we do. And people go, uh, how do we do that? I don't know, figure it out. But make sure you get it done. Or some will have just enough of how we do it to be very religious also. But nobody wants to know why. Nobody wants to concentrate on that. Now you're talking about it too much. Now we're taking it apart too much. And religion will do that. And if you have a why on something, you have revelation. If you have a how you go about doing something and you mix that with the why we do what we do, you have revelation knowledge. And you're operating at a totally different thing. Now, there's a scripture that talks about Jesus being hungry, right? And well, actually, it was the disciples. You know, they probably were hungry, so they're thinking he's been out here ministering. He's getting hungry, and he gave them a very spiritual answer that didn't come from what we do. It didn't come from how we do it, but it came from why we do. And he said, "I have food that you know nothing of." He's supernaturally powered by the vision of who he is and why he was here. And so food was not a big deal to him. Eventually he ate, but everything wasn't like, it's almost noon. We got this is what we do. We eat at noon. He's like, actually, I I have food you guys know nothing of. I'm good. So that gets interesting. That's a level of operation where when we learn what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, we're going to walk in wisdom. So we're going to apply this to anger resolution and every other thing that we do. If when we were a kid under the age of 7, we didn't have enough communication to show us these 3 things, it's time now for us to grow. So we've grown, but we've grown with deficit. Now we have to be more willing. I don't care if you're 50 years old, you've realized this. It's like, I got to figure out why we do this stuff. I got to figure out, how and why we do this stuff. This is why things are so crazy on the news if you pay attention to it. What we do is like this group of people will say, this is what we do. Really, that's what they're saying by how they're dressed and everything. It's like, okay, this is what you do. Do you even know how the government operates? No, I don't know how that works. And I don't know why they do what they do. We're just mad about this one subject because this is what we do. It's not wisdom. It looks foolish. And so education, Getting knowledge, Proverbs talks about getting knowledge. It's like silver. It's like gold. Get knowledge and get understanding when you get knowledge, it says. And then the why we do what we do is the full understanding. That's when wisdom comes and says, I see it now. This is how we're going to make this work. So remember, as you're growing through some of the things that we're talking about, yes, they are painful. Yes, they're going to regulate you when you get truth in there. But remember, your processor and your computer of your brain is looking for what we do. Okay, so if we settle this, what we do, then I got to really find out, not assume that I know how to do that. I got to find out. If I got to get counseling even to know how to talk differently, I've got to role model that. I got to practice what I'm going to say or whatever. That's me going about, like, I think this is how we're going to do it. But then in the end, wisdom, when you ask God for wisdom, he said he'll freely give it. He says that in James. Then in the end, you're like, it's so important that I did this because this is why we do what we do. Spiritual growth, emotional growth, mental growth looks just like that.